Sekiguchi genetics is one of the four factions we learn about in the Marathon ARG from 2023. Uniquely, they are the only group we learn about that is entirely new to the Marathon universe, as no mention of them appears in the original trilogy. MIDA and the UESC are established adversaries, and even the tenuous, albeit largely accepted, relationship between Traxxas the company and the AI Traxxas 4 plants the other factions firmly within the prior canonical components of Marathon's narrative. This position as the newcomer to the series, and how they integrate seamlessly into the narrative of the original games, displays a level of narrative ability from Bungie that makes me excited for the upcoming game. Their primary interaction with the story we have seen so far has been their creation and delivery of the Biomata. But before I get into my thoughts about these Biomata and Sekiguchi's role, I want to quickly review some basic information about them. And I will also add that if you want a more thorough explanation of Sekiguchi, consider checking out Part 3 of my Marathon ARG series, where I cover it much more in depth. So, for Sekiguchi, we basically got three sections of information, which have been neatly separated on Carnamir's lore archive, which I highly recommend everyone check out, as he did a great job of breaking that all down. From Sekiguchi's website, we get a thorough outline of the company's leadership, some informational cards describing their mission, history, and products, and we also got access to Yoshida Tamura's emails. Yoshida was an employee of Sekiguchi who handled Biomata orders for the UESC. The leadership cards outline the experience and positions for all of the high-level members of Sekiguchi, CEO, CFO, CSO, etc., and serves as a guide for the background on many of the characters we see interacting through the emails. With the context of which position they hold at the company, certain conclusions can be drawn about what could be the impetus behind their communications. This allows us to unravel some less than obvious facts around the emails and the larger arrangement between Traxxas, the UESC, and Sekiguchi. The informational cards do the most in terms of placing Sekiguchi within the Marathon universe. Their mission statement, I think, is aptly described in this piece from that section. Quote, Sekiguchi genetics thrives by constantly moving forward and changing. We work every day to realize an ideal world in which humans are masters of their environment, rather than a product of it. Our new cybernetic enhancement technologies allow humans to continue to push the limits of the human body. We look forward to sharing these advancements with you. Or, put more simply, their mission is to enhance life. The history section informs us that Sekiguchi was founded in 2152. The other dates kind of outline their progress throughout the latter half of the 2100s. The interesting thing about this is that the 2100s in the Marathon universe famously concludes with the battle of the independent asteroid government of Icarus and its neighbor, the Republic of Thermopylae, on the asteroid of Onesius 492. This event is historical because it was the first time battleroids were used in combat, and the result was them killing, quote, almost everyone. Battleroids were corpses of soldiers that had been reanimated utilizing technology. They were these super soldiers which had such destructive capabilities that they were treated like weapons of mass destruction. And it probably isn't a coincidence that Sekiguchi had spent nearly 50 years integrating humans with machines in the lead up to their existence. This importantly represents Sekiguchi as not only a primary player in the upcoming game, but also a faction which seamlessly integrates into the background of events that were canonized in the original series. This section also talks about some of the technology being utilized to create the Biomata, further displaying how advanced technology has become in the 2800s and describes the various Biomata models, but I'll hold off on talking about the Biomata until the end. The last piece of information we got about Sekiguchi was access to Yoshida Tamura's company email. As mentioned earlier, Yoshida Tamura is the person in charge of handling the UESC's orders for Biomata. The emails shine some light on Sekiguchi's secretive dealings with Traxxas to supply them with unreleased and top-of-the-line Biomata, while concealing this information from the UESC. It also reveals that people internal to Sekiguchi don't trust Traxxas, at least they don't trust them to not steal their proprietary technology, possibly hinting at some Traxxas-made Biomata in the future. We get the hilarious, but possibly tied to some relevant secret dealings, chain of emails about the toilets being out of order at Sekiguchi Tower, and see that Traxxas is holding a conference that Yoshida is invited to. Some questions that pop up throughout the emails are about how Yoshida has access to the emails that don't appear to even be addressed to him, and why was he scheduled for leave during some of the events of the ARG. The emails conclude with the reveal that Yoshida has been terminated and that Sekiguchi is advising employees not to communicate with him. Was he working with MIDA to provide them the insider information they included in their zine? Did he have a closer relationship with the UESC and spill the beans about the Traxxas purchase order for the new Biomata? These are questions that have not been answered and may play out within the game, or additional ARG information down the road. The Sekiguchi info that we got does a good job of lining up a bunch of characters at Sekiguchi who runners could interact with. Perhaps Yoshida has gone rogue and wants to hire runners to conduct operations against Sekiguchi itself. Perhaps the chief science officer needs a runner to investigate a Traxxas operation on suspicion that they may be reverse engineering their tech. No matter what, the world of the upcoming marathon game doesn't work without these Biomata, so Sekiguchi will be heavily involved with whatever happens. So let's get into these Biomata. What are they? Well, the Biomata are assumedly every character that we have visually seen thus far except for the Svit. Biomata are tools or weapons in the shape of physical humanoid forms. You could think of it as a glove or mech that a user places their consciousness inside of. This then grants them control over the Biomata in the same way that you have control over your own body. The Sekiguchi website lists the Biomata as having various models with differing features. Specifically, they outline 4 different Biomata. The A series is described as bringing, quote, joy to life to those who seek a higher level of experience, more intuitive, more refined by those who know what lies beyond emotion. This model seems to be geared towards people wishing to have a lived, interpersonal experience outside of their body. Perhaps this would be beneficial for people with severe disabilities like paralysis or maybe some sort of significant scarring or visual abnormality that they aren't comfortable with showing to people. It reminds me of that movie Surrogates, where people only leave their house as these clone versions of themselves that are prettier, which also famously gave us that very cursed image of Bruce Willis with hair. The B series is described as creating an extraordinary experience. We have combined power and beauty in an exquisite balance to deliver a new lifestyle. The powerful physique and exhilarating performance will support a vibrant lifestyle. This may indicate that this would be a model you could use socially to experience things you may not feel comfortable doing in your own skin, but can also operate as a tool for physical tasks that your biological body isn't equipped for, a blend of emotional resonance and utility. The C-Series description has a focus on the physical abilities of the model. Quote, steel-reinforced carbon fiber, biologically inert titanium, and ceramic composites reduce weight, improve joint strength, and increase overall durability so you can perform at work or play. This positions it as primarily a utility for physical tasks or labor. You may use this for your job at a mining facility on Mars, or maybe people use these models to compete in high-stakes sporting events. Its focus is on physical performance exceeding what is capable for a natural human form. And lastly, the Sekiguchi website describes the soon-to-be-released S-Series Biomata. Quote, the 5th generation S-Series has completed its final testing and been approved. The latest human model was born combining functionality and emotion through thorough pursuit of kinematics-based shape, power-to-weight ratio, center of gravity, etc. Movement in which the mind and body are one. Every movement is proof of your existence. Open your 5 senses and experience everything. Nothing binds you. This body is your body. Please look forward to future announcements for details such as operation methods, upgrade specifications, and release dates. This seems to be the top-end next generation of Biomata that seek to combine the neural and emotional connectivity of the A-Series with the raw physical performance and agility of the C-Series, in a way that doesn't compromise the strengths of either. A true advancement that could make very complex tasks seamlessly achievable for the user. But like with most technologies in the far-flung future of hyper-capitalist Marathon, there is another secret Biomata model, one that is a military-grade powerhouse seemingly meant for war. The P-Series Biomata is what Traxxas had secretly ordered from Sekiguchi, what they didn't want the UESC to know about. The P-Series seems to take the concept of the S-Series to 11. They are significantly more expensive, nearly double the price of the S-Series Biomata, as indicated on the Traxxas purchase order. We also know that this P-Series doesn't appear to be used by any of the Traxxas runners on Tau Ceti, as the UESC evidence file labeled Runner Threat Assess shows those runners as operating S-Series Biomata. So who could be using these P-Series Biomata? Are they even more capable boss-style runners using this overpowered tech? Could these Biomata possibly be capable of interfacing with AI and could be controlled by non-human intelligence? We don't know, but the suite of Biomata presented lay the foundation for how combat is going to be conducted on Tau Ceti. Getting a large enough number of bodies to Tau Ceti for a war is a logistical nightmare, whereas getting the Biomata tech there seems much more feasible. A battle that can be fought over and over again using Biomata explains the perpetual nature of the, quote, runs we will be making planetside in Tau Ceti. So this begs the question of how we as players interact with these Biomata. Well, obviously, they will be our vessel for interacting with the game world, and lore-wise, they fit seamlessly into a universe that is technologically advanced enough to create battleroids and hyper-intelligent AI. But how will they be presented in-game is not entirely clear. The initial assumption based on the Vidoc and trailer was that these Biomata would be highly customizable vessels through which players would build their loadouts for each match. But, as we've gained more information, it appears that the runners and Biomata they use are more consistent. The developer update from Joe Ziegler in October of last year showed concept art for two of these runners, and they seem to have quite a bit of personality and stylistic choice that were not congruent with our initial understanding of them. This is obviously colored by the news of a shift towards, quote, heroes from that IGN article from last year, but it appears that these Biomata are more permanent fixtures as opposed to something you load up and then throw away once you die on the battlefield. This could be explained by viewing the Biomata as more or less mechs that have been fully optimized for their respective operators. One runner's Biomata may have upgraded abilities or movesets that are specific to their parameters, and dying during a run may only represent a disconnection from the mercenary's consciousness. The Biomata could possibly be teleported back to a repair station, or maybe even one of those Biomata birthing pod type things we see from the trailer. And then they would be fixed up before the mercenary jacks back into their Biomata for another run. This would obviously exclude some of the more intricate depth of customization the community had hoped for, but does offer the potential for a tighter interplay between the game's mechanics while remaining accurate to the information we have been given. Obviously, a huge component to the success of this system would revolve around what types of upgrades and customization would be afforded to the player, and how much the player base likes the runners that are available. I really enjoyed the look of the thief and stealth runners that were presented in the developer update, and would love to see how they interact in the game world. But we would need further information to fully understand the system they end up going with, which hopefully will be featured in a gameplay reveal relatively soon. The Biomata itself is a cool way to turn what could be considered a relatively small war into a long-standing battle played out over a vast number of operations. It's a phenomenal way to interweave the gameplay loop of an extraction shooter with the complex futuristic narrative of Marathon, and I can't wait to see how Bungie expands on the concept as we get additional information. Sekiguchi and their Biomata appear to be at the center of the upcoming game, but they don't seem to have picked a side. The side they are on is the side of profit, and if that means supplying their tech to Traxxas, the UESC, or even MIDA, then they will do so to protect the interests of their shareholders. But maybe there is a deeper yet unseen goal for this tech company that will soon be revealed in the game. Let me know your thoughts on Sekiguchi in the comments, and tell me how you would like to see the Biomata implemented in the game. Alright everyone, thanks for watching, bye.